be live now. Let me check it out. View events. BaconDAO community call. BTC's announced. Okay, that's good. Sounds working. Checking TikTok. Fingers crossed again. Going live on TikTok. Checking out the TikTok side. It's probably going to stop working in 2 minutes again. Not sure, but we'll keep it open for now. Okay. If it stops working, it's just the same as last week, then whatever. Okay. Hi everyone. Oh, actually, yeah, Discord. Let me just stream the Discord cast screen as well. Here. Okay. Also live on Discord, casting my screen. Welcome everyone to the weekly BaconDAO community call. This is probably week 20 now, something like that. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, TikTok live is ended. Great. So as usual, each week we do a Sunday call to cover most of the market analysis, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some altcoins, Bitcoin dominance. We cover the latest news in trending areas like Polkadot, BSC. We try to cover NFT sometimes. And then we have a BaconDAO update and Q&A in the end. So that's our Sunday calls schedules, and it'll last about an hour to an hour and a half. Yeah, so as you can see right now on my screen, I have the slides up. Wow, I see a lot of slides by Wonka's analysis. Looking forward to that. But as usual, I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. Correct me if the order is wrong, but as usual, we have Crypto 101 first, led by our Crypto 101 head contributor, Hassan. So I'm pretty sure this is Hassan. So cool. So Hassan, take it away. Let us know what's happening this week, and something that you think is useful to talk about for everyone to quickly learn about.
Hope everyone's having a great day. This previous week at Crypto 101, Joseph went ahead and took over, and he went through a few stuff. We talked about how in the crypto space, there's so many different ways to make money. You can make money by trading crypto, by flipping NFTs, by yield farming and staking, and many more different ways to make money. And access to the BaconDAO Discord even makes it easier for people to make money with community members sharing new things every day. We also took a look at the importance of setting goals. We all have goals going in the same direction, but we may or may not have goals of our destination. In other words, we all know we're here to make money, but we may or may not have goals with how much money we plan to make or what we plan to achieve with that money. Some people may be having goals of making 5% a month, so they may be a bit more conservative and low risks with their portfolio. Other people may want a bit more than that, so they may take on higher risk. And other people may have a goal of becoming millionaires overnight, so they gamble. We also took a deep dive into what financial success means for different people. Some may view financial success as being able to comfortably raise a family financially. Other people may see financial success as being in the top 1% of the richest. Personally, for me, financial success is just to be financially comfortable. Slowly I've come to realize that money really isn't everything in life, right? And life is short and time is limited. So the best option I have, from what I see, for my personal view, is just to make the best use of time for stuff I actually enjoy and that are important to me. But that's going to wrap it up for what we learned at Crypto 101. It's just a few really important points, I think, and that are really meaningful and that could really change a person's perspective and view on life. But yeah, you guys can come join us this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC. So thanks everyone for listening. Have a great day.
Awesome. I think not so much directly alpha related points there, but I think it's one thing that I really like there is super important is to realize that it's not only just a thing you have to recognize that you have different goals in making money, but once you recognize that every single person you talk to have different financial goals, you start to understand why people always mention that whatever you talk about online or you hear about or you're talking to other people, it's never to be treated as financial advice. Not because necessarily like those are bad advice or they have bad intentions, but it's just that if you're trying to make it kind of long-term passive income or develop a career or just trying to be sustainable, but you listen to someone that without knowing that their goal is to make it very quick, taking a lot of risk, they might not have bad intentions for themselves, but if you don't understand that, then that becomes bad advice for yourself. So recognizing that everyone has different financial goals, maybe writing some things down, what am I trying to do here, and actually trying to find the people that have similar goals, it'll help you a lot. Not directly in like recognizing opportunities, but knowing that this is a core distinction because there's so many different people out there, will help you a lot. Avoid a lot of downside that you could see. Just something I think too. Okay, cool. So next up we have BSC, so the Binance Smart Chain news of the week and latest opportunities and what we think are interesting, which is presented by our head contributor Viper. So Viper, what's up?
What's going on, guys? First of all, happy Freedom Day to all my fellow Americans and everyone else. As always, let's start off with the rug of the week. Merlin Lab. Total stolen was about $300,000. Now, it's not a typical rug. Now, it was a working product and everything, but and I'll say this allegedly, I believe, and allegedly true, that it's an insider job, because when an exploit happens like this, devs just don't abandon it immediately. They'll try to do some damage control, but I mean, these devs just completely abandoned it. And so and I also saw some articles thinking the same thing, so that was kind of unfortunate. But rugs happen every week, especially on BSC, so always be careful. In positive news, though, BSC has surpassed 700 million total transactions, which is huge. Ever since the introduction of BSC, we've always surpassed ETH transactions on the daily.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see that we're almost at 1 billion total transactions. And this has only started since September of last year. I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet, so that's really awesome to see. Hyperjump is now supported by a new OX tracker app on both their BSC platform as well as their Phantom platform. And they also got a system upgrade. Now, they were already one of the fastest swapping decks, but they've enhanced their speed once again, and they've added new farming, staking vaults, etc. as always. They also did a cool AMA. I forgot with who, but they did a cool AMA where one of the devs doxed themselves on video chat and was talking about the project. So I'm hoping that'll give them some traction. Bolt Dollar released smart pools, which reinvest the part of the yield to increase the APRs over time. I don't know. Like I said, I'm very, very bearish on all algo stablecoins. Once they've accrued so much debt, there's almost no way of getting out of it. And if I were to ever go back into one, or a pre-existing one, Bolt Dollar would be the only one that I think would have an ever so slight chance of recovering, just because so many whales are in there and so many of them have bonded their money, which means that if the BTD coin does not reach the peg, they cannot cash out their bonds. So there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in bonds just sitting there that cannot be cashed. So of course it's in their best interest. Pancake Bunny, they finally launched on Polygon. I know we're going over BSC, but it's anytime a project does something new, expands, etc., of course it affects both tokens, both the BSC as well as the other one, just because it's positive news. So, curious to see what that happens. What effect that happens on BSC's Pancake Bunny token, but I'm not optimistic about it. PancakeSwap, they've released huge updates that are upcoming. There's a long Medium article that, as you guys know, I write the Daily Digest every day, and I included it in one of the days last week. Definitely should read it. Lots and lots of updates. They're not just UI updates. For example, there is a V2 UI update, but they have info and analytics re-released, voting re-released. So I often criticized, the Cake token of not having voting rights, right, as compared to Uniswap. So that's coming out. They're reducing the Cake emissions by 10%. A V2 lottery system's coming out. And a big one is the community farm auctions. It's a way where instead of, I don't know exactly how much they charge or if they do charge anything, but typically when you see a new pool on the PancakeSwap website, it's typically, the project will submit a form to them, and then I don't know what happens in the background. I don't know if it's paid or whatever. But now what they're going to do is people in the community, like you and I, will vote on what the next pool should be, and you use your Cake as a voting right? And whoever's proposal is submitted is passed. So like if I voted for a hyperjump pool and you voted for a Doge pool and my hyperjump passed, everyone who voted on the hyperjump, their tokens get burnt, and everyone else whose proposal did not pass, they keep it. So pretty interesting. Of course, I don't care enough to vote on something to get my money taken from me. Maybe I'd put a coin or two in, but it's interesting to see that they're adding another deflationary mechanism to the Cake token. So that's nice. So definitely check out that article. They've also released a couple stablecoin farms. Now, of course, as you guys know, the more money that gets put in, the less the rewards are. And so, it started off something outrageous, or not outrageous, but really, really good, like 300% plus, but now it's, I don't know, it's decent. I think it's,
what's the rate like?
It changes.
For this, for example, USDC to USDT?
I have to check because it changes all the time, but it was something like 10-15%,
okay.
So it wasn't anything
and
crazy.
They have I don't know, 20 million locked, something like that?
Yeah, about so. And they also have a Cake USDT, but of course, who wants the impermanent loss? So, as expected, like when all these new stablecoin farms come out, they advertise such high APYs, but in 30 minutes, it just, it's a fraction of it.
Yeah.
Also, as usual, PancakeSwap burnt another $71 million worth of Cake. If you guys don't know, Cake doesn't have a total supply. It's just like Ethereum. So instead of having a total supply, they're adding deflationary mechanisms to kind of beat the inflation. ApeSwap partnered with CryptoBlades, play to earn NFT, kind of cool. They've had a lot of partnerships, so that's really good for them. And they also launched on Polygon. Juggernaut DeFi is the official partner of the Binance NFT marketplace. That's kind of cool. They're a really, really old school OG project. They were around like in the beginning of BSC. ApeSwap once again partnered with Scam, and they also launched their Primate treasure chest on TreasureKeyBet. I'm not a fan of those kind of websites where you whoever puts in money at the end wins the pot. I don't like that because you're going against bots. But
right.
Yeah, that's the treasure key thing. PancakeSwap Syrup Soak NFT was claimable on June 30th. So that for those who participated, auto buyback, they burnt over $60,000. Swap Finance was finally listed on an exchange, not a tier 1 exchange, but Hotbit. Okay, not bad. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see if I can short them because I would love to. Titan V2 announced. I know Titan is Polygon related, but Their compensation plan is related to both BSC and Polygon, and they just released just right now their statement on that. They are going to they've put a certain amount of V2 tokens towards compensating people, and it'll be vested over 3 years. So if you have grandchildren you want to pass it down to,
Yeah.
3 years is insane. But they said that you can change it based off proposal. Beefy Finance partnered with Sushi Swap. Very bullish on that. That's awesome. And lastly, I'll end it with our educational call last week. I went over more contract interaction. And so, you know, I've pretty much exercised every little thing you can do besides being a dev on the contract related things. And don't worry if you couldn't make it. I'm going to be recycling a lot of it, especially in the new format. But yeah, that's all I have for BSC. A lot happened last week, but you know, just stay safe and have a good day.
Thanks, Viper. It was again, that's as usual. I think every week it's you're able to cover most of, you know, all the major players in all aspects of BSC. That's really valuable, at least not just to keep up with things that are happening right now. Yeah, always appreciate it. So I can't say I have much to comment there besides maybe like the stablecoin farm was pretty interesting to me because I've been recently looking for stablecoin farms, but I can get something like on Yearn right now, farms are going for like 10 to maximum 20%, and they have like 10 to 50 million locked. I haven't been able to find anything that's not super degen to be much higher, at all higher than 20%, I'd say. So yeah, this is something I think that they have a.
Yeah, you could find better ones, but they're degen,
just going to be
as
more
you
risky.
mentioned.
Yeah, so something like PancakeSwap, that's you're farming cake, right? You're farming on PancakeSwap, so that's I would count that as like very very safe, at least.
Yeah,
comparing to
and
a lot
I
of
would have
things.
covered the Save the Kids thing, but you already did on your TikTok.
Yeah, so
You know,
yeah.
close that wound.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. Sorry again. It's just, yeah. Wish I didn't cover that, but you learn, right? So won't do it again. It's
Exactly.
just too hype, too much hype driven. So yeah. Right. So next up we have the Polkadot chat by our head contributor Mahi. Mahi covers all of the latest news and what we think are interesting for the week in the Polkadot Kusama land. Of course, right now there are the parachain auctions for Kusama happening right now, and I see the first piece of news already. I'll let Mahi take it away.
Hello guys, I'll just be discussing Polkadot and Kusama developmental updates and news. First and foremost, Moonriver has won the second Kusama parachain slot auction. Moonriver is a parachain on Kusama that provides a seamless environment for teams that are most familiar with the Ethereum technology stack. Like its sister network Moonbeam, Moonriver smart contract platform capabilities feature unmatched Ethereum compatibility that goes beyond basic EVM support. Projects building on Moonriver are able to use the same smart contract languages, Ethereum-based accounts, developmental tools, and base-level integrations and other services they currently rely on, but within a new extended environment on Kusama. These projects are then able to natively interact not only with Kusama, but other parachains that are connected to the network. So, I mean, this is bullish for Kusama, I guess. It means Ethereum developers can easily add their smart contracts to Kusama and or to the Moonriver parachain, and they can benefit from the pooled security of Kusama and the interoperability with the existing parachains right now, which is just Karura is the only other parachain, and StateMine, of course. So that's the second auction was Moonriver. So just to address the Polkadot validating and nominating changes. Web3 Foundation researcher scientist Jonas Gerlin published a scholarly article regarding the new validating and nominating protocols. I recommend anyone interested in the ecosystems read the entire article, but for the sake of time, I'll only read the conclusion. In summary, the security of the network relies on the active participation of nominators in researching and selecting suitable validators and updating their selection frequently. In aggregation, this leads to a well-maintained active set of validators and a healthy network. This task is generously rewarded by the network in the form of staking rewards. To guide this process, nominators should have access to tools that will help the decision process and that are designed to value the individual preferences of the nominators. So I addressed this last week, but there is some changes to how nominators nominate validators, because it was anyone, like any Polkadot account could be nominating validators, and it illegitimized like any of the real nominations, and it was a complete mess. So with these changes was enacting the new system was referendum 28. It was passed on July 1st. So now there is a minimum of 40 dot and a 40 dot to nominate validators, and the total of the max number of nominators has been set to a hard cap of 22,500. Now for the third Kusama auction. The third Kusama parachain slot auction is in its ending period. Bidding will end on block 8,203,516, or approximately 1.5 days. If I had to guess the winner of this auction, I would pick Shiden Network. That's strictly because they have the most funding by far, and that's been the pattern so far. I mean, Karura and then Moon River, they were 1 and 2, and Shiden's the obvious third. So on the topic of Shiden Network, Plasm Network, their parent company, has rebranded to Astar Network. This is pretty big news because I'd say they're like the third most popular Kusama / Polkadot project as of now. Yeah. So a quote from their founder: "From today we enter the new chapter. A star is born. Plasm becomes Astar Network in pursuit of becoming a Polkadot native multi-chain dApp hub that supports both the Ethereum virtual machine and WebAssembly. Plasm is responsible for Shiden Network, which will be keeping its name."
Okay,
so
yeah, I'll let you continue. But I see they have with the rebrand, there's some like strategy changes.
Yeah. So I think they were also planning on they're like betting that they're gonna win the third Kusama parachain slot auction, and like I said, Shiden Network is keeping its name, but Plasm is becoming Astar Network. One last mention, this is kind of a gem I've been researching. Bifrost Finance right now, they're doing their crowd loan, and it's a pretty lucrative crowd loan. In order to accelerate the process of the Bifrost parachain, enable BNC transfers, BNC is the native token of course, and open up the bonding liquidity of subsequent Kusama parachain bidding project parties as soon as possible. Bifrost has decided to double the parachain rewards. Bifrost Crowdloan will process the sprint stage and open double bidding rewards for all voting addresses until 8 a.m. on July 8th. The reward will be increased from 1 Kusama equals 11 BNC to 22 BNC. And an important difference between this crowd loan and most others is locking up this one guarantees you a fixed number of BNC regardless if they secure a parachain slot or not. Also, instead of simply locking up your KSM and just giving it up, Bifrost reward participants with VSKSM allocation, which is a staking derivative proportionate to the KSM contribution. So cool. Yeah, that's all for this week.
Cool. I think those last two pieces of news are quite interesting to me. I heard of this rebrand, but I didn't read into it. So not only is the name changing, it says here that when they were called Plasm, they were focused on bringing layer 2 technology to Polkadot and Kusama, right? Like scaling. But now, since they rebrand to Astar Network, their platform is now focused to be a dApp hub that supports Ethereum, that supports EVM. That's cool. WebAssembly and layer 2. So before they were kind of like, if you were to compare like a XDAI, Matic, I wouldn't even call it that. It's like purely layer 2 scaling. So something like OMG Network or Raiden or one of those kind of scaling solutions. They're more network focused, but now they're more dApp hub focused. As you see, they not only support, like, you can build dApps on Polkadot Kusama with their layer 2, but if you just have some Solidity code, you can also port that over, or WebAssembly code, you can also port that over. So basically switching from more network to more kind of ecosystem dApp focused. I like this because then it'll be less dependent on like speculating on how well the scaling is and their competition in terms of network, like overall. Instead, you can really look at, okay, what kind of projects are building on Astar Network now, right, which is Plasm before. So I don't know. It definitely is interesting. I'd be interested to see because maybe their token could be related to, like, if you are to build dApps, then you have to consume the token, etc. That'd be interesting. And the last piece of news that you said, we could contribute to the to KSM's to Bifrost's mint drop, and they're doubling the rewards. And you see on their website it's counting down 3.5 days from now. This is a double reward period. I actually seen some recent Polkadot related funds in that ecosystem, just like collecting funds specifically for doing a lot of crowd loans. So I would say none of these obviously have been listed yet because this is very early stages of the Kusama parachain crowd loans, but still I do think people underestimate like how profitable these could be if you haven't tried them. So definitely keep an eye out, especially for this double reward period. So thanks for the coverage on Polkadot Kusama ecosystem, Mahi. Appreciate that as usual. And next up we have our low cap / layer 2 updates led by our head contributor Luke, and later on we'll also bring him back on to do a bit of Bitcoin dominance analysis, which is very closely related to altcoins in general. But Luke, what's up? Let's get you on the mic.
How's it going, Dennis? So this week was pretty boring for low caps, but this week we saw Twitter released some NFTs on Rarible, and this caused their governance token Rari to jump 40% before rejecting. However, since then, it's continued to make lower lows, and it looks like Twitter may have ushered in a new NFT hype wave, which would only be bullish for crypto in general. And so it's definitely something I'm looking out for right now is NFTs. One of the biggest projects to be popping off right now is Axie Infinity. And for those who don't know, it's a strategy turn-based game, and you collect these NFT, I think they're axolotls or something, and you collect these NFTs, and you play with them and you sell them on, and you're able to generate some income through their in-game potions and whatnot.
Yeah.
So this week, their token AXS has rallied 150%, and auctionable items have also followed suit. So their axes and land and whatnot is also on the rise with this NFT hype. So that's definitely something to be watching out for, and something that I'm going to be looking out for here soon. And keeping an eye on these NFT games and whatnot. Myst would be another one, but they're not in the hype right now. Anyways, moving away from NFTs, some news on ThorSwap. They're going to be releasing a governance token, and the details aren't fully out yet, but they say it's going to be 100% community owned. So I'm anticipating them to be doing an airdrop to users and liquidity providers. So if you haven't used ThorSwap, maybe try to get in 1 or 2 swaps before they
take a snapshot, right?
What?
Yeah,
before the snapshot. Thank you. Yeah. So definitely try to get in on that. It's hard to provide liquidity for ThorSwap because they do it in batches and it reaches the max really quickly. So just do your swaps and maybe follow their Discord if you do want to provide liquidity. But last time I swapped on here, it was actually on ThorSwap. It was actually cheaper to make a swap on ThorSwap than it was on Uniswap. I think by 80% or something like that. Or I mean, not 80%, like 40%, my bad.
Okay. 40
to 50%. So it's quite a bit cheaper, and yeah, it should be some free tokens, or hopefully, I'm anticipating. So anyways, that's all I have for news this week.
Cool.
Yeah.
I definitely feel the NFT hype coming back up again. If you ask anyone in the NFT chat in the Discord, they would say so too. Like recently, there've been so many more like collectible drops, just kind of like 10k max supply, and it feels like they all popped up. There's a new one every day. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't think those should be the leading projects. Something like Axie definitely deserve a lot more hype than these like just pop up in a day kind of profile picture type of collectibles that have not much utility.
There's this one NFT that a buddy of mine created was at a price floor of 0.03 and now it's 0.1. You should jump on too. That's all I see on Twitter all these days, on NFT Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as IDO Twitter. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just instead of people being like, oh, we're like expert traders, now they are like expert collectors with punks as profiles. As long as they have that, they can get into things.
And they just happen to find a new gem. They happen to find 3 new gems a week, and it's cool with everyone.
Yeah. Some are okay looking. Like if you do enough research and like you don't put too much in, and you actually get into mint. But nowadays it's like the gas is so high that even if they don't charge anything, you still spend so much money in the gas just to mint, and you don't even, sometimes they just fail because it's way too overhyped. I think some of the if you're willing to bet on the NFT hype coming back, some of the infrastructure plays like NFTX and Muse, those fractionalizing NFT kind of pools that all of these collectibles actually use and provide these like actually provide utility. Those have been doing quite well, and they're tokens, right, instead of NFTs. So you are not gonna be left, holding the bags. The worst case scenario, you can buy and then it drops 10%, you can sell. So much better than just holding on things and to zero. So, but yeah, I think NFTs are coming back in a quite strong way. So, aside from that, I'm not sure if there's much else I would comment on. I do have my own picks as well, but we can talk about that in the discussion later. And we'll also talk about Bitcoin dominance shortly after, but let's just have the analysis kicked off first by Wonka, which is I'm sure a lot of people have been waiting for Wonka's super analysis as usual. Wonka, you there? Let us examine the
Thanks for
markets.
introduction. Yeah, What's up, guys? Thanks for coming in, and to all my fellow American traders, friends, happy Independence Day. Let's kick off as usual from top to bottom. I'll be sending out charts in events content, guys, so you can see it there. Let's start from weekly. The scenario is still intact, and what I like, it's good indication that on weekly scale, we've retested and held so far the yearly open, which is the weekly close low range. That is the 30k 32,000, which is the support, the red line. And also we have their weekly 55 EMA. And usually that's a big support zone for bulls. Bears have been trying to break it, but unsuccessfully so far. Let's move on to daily scale. I want to talk about something here, guys. Every single guy on Twitter or girl or even our Discord, I've been only seeing the death cross that was happening.
Yeah.
And it happened, and now nobody talks about it. Nobody. And what you should do, guys, is that you should not only follow what Cointelegraph says, right? Because what they say is for retailers, not for the actual traders. Now, let's examine what death cross means. First of all, death cross is when weekly 55 EMA, death cross on daily means when daily 55 EMA crosses below daily 200 EMA. And you can see I'm pointing at it.
Yeah.
Before going further into death cross, this is the if you take a look at RSI, this is what I expect. It might not necessarily come true the projection for RSI is based on my wave projection. And now let's look at the death cross. First death cross that happened was in May 2014. We dropped. The death cross happened, and then we pumped 101%. You can think of death cross as the pump that is gonna come after death cross. You can think of it as a retest pump or confirmation of breakout. You know, you're gonna draw some triangle in the chart, and it's gonna the price will break out, and then you wait for the confirmation, right? So it retests, and then you act, put your long or short with your stop loss, and you're in the trade. The same applies to death cross.
Yeah.
After every death cross, and we'll go for in more examples. After every single death cross, we pumped. In this example, we rallied 101%, and then we dumped in major bear market 78%. That's a big one. Next one was in 2018. We got the death cross, and by the way, guys, death cross usually means that that's the bottom. So I personally like to take action in the death cross, because even if it's not bottom, right? That is when death cross occurs. That's the bottom is maximum 5% away from it. What I mean is that before rally, because after rally we will fall even further. In this case, 2018, we got the retest pump of 59%, and then major dump of 70%. Moving on to next one. In 2019, we got the death cross, rallied 61%, and then dropped for the Corona crash for 64%. And you can see on the chart, I've made the note that 99% of the time, when you see death cross on daily, that means that temporary bottom before rallying and dropping even further is in. Now the interesting part. That was for the death cross. I'm sure we're gonna see much more death crosses and golden crosses in the future. So now at least you're armed with more knowledge. Mm-hmm. Next one is Bitcoin on 4 hours. The interesting part of waves. This is the scenario one I have, which means that we are going to head to much higher prices than the one that I'm following right now. Break of 39,000 will confirm we are in this even bigger bull trap. Otherwise, primary count is the following diagonal that I will introduce right now. This is the diagonal count. We've been following it for a couple days, and main point I want to underline here is that when you have two diverging scenarios, two different scenarios, but they point you in the same direction, that's a win-win for you. That means that it's gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the yes. This and I will also say where is the divergence between this count and the previous one. This is the primary count diagonal, and we are still developing the third wave in the fifth wave, and fifth wave is the last wave of the diagonal formation that we are in right now. Moving on to 1 hour chart. Before entering trade, guys, you should think, where are you wrong, right? So you are able to put your stop loss to protect your capital. And I know that I am wrong in this leading diagonal if we touch 39,000, which will tell me that we are in previous count, the first one I showed, that I said that is even bigger bull trap. That's it for the counts. So basically we have either one just parallel channel or diagonal, and the diverging part between them is at 39,000.
Okay.
If we touch 39,000, that means that diagonal is wrong, and I know I am wrong there. All right, now the juiciest part.
Okay.
These counts, these trades that I'm gonna show you guys, as I promised, are based on ideal scenario. And at this point, I'm sure you're aware that ideal scenarios usually don't work like that. Markets have different ideas always. This is what I see in the coming weeks. So we took this trade here on the lows. We longed it. We already booked 50%, and the long remains intact until 37,000. What am I gonna do after we touch 37,000? This is the projected move for the second trade. I will be shorting from 37,000 till the yellow box or end daily support, which is the red line, which is at 32,000 range. As I said, if we break out from 39,000 or touch it, I want to be out of that short because I know I am wrong there, and we will push further. And as I said, before entering any trade, you should know where you are wrong. And in trading, it's not important. I mean, it is important to make money, but it is more important to preserve it. And it is even more important to swallow your ego, humble yourself, and adjust to whatever the market gives. After the, we are following the path here, right? So after we touch 32,000, I will enter long there. And as I said, trades are based on ideal scenarios. This is going to be my long from 32,000 to 46,000, and target at 46,000 right now is arbitrary, and that is based on only Fibonacci retracement. And I will know for sure the target once wave A tops out and once wave B bottoms out. But for now, the target is for wave C is locked at 46,000. So for now, you guys see my three trades here, right? One long, short, long, and afterwards comes the best part. I'm gonna enter short, swing short, which I will, well, it depends on my paper hands, but I will try to ride it till 25,000. But I won't short it straight away. I will wait for confirmation, and the arrow there you can see on the chart shows it. I will wait for wave 1 and 2 to retrace. I will short on the top of wave 2, put my stop loss at 46,000 and ride this swing short. That is it for Bitcoin, guys. These scenarios, these trades that I showed you, they're not gonna be like done in 1 week or 2 weeks or something. It's gonna take a lot of time. Like, I don't know, 1 year or whatever. Like, that is not the important part. The important part, guys, is that we solve the puzzle properly and take the money from the market.
Yeah.
That's it for the That's it for the Bitcoin.
Let's break it down a little bit, because that's like 10 charts.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
I think this overall, this kind of outlook for ABC counts, I tend to agree. I think we should at least see a B wave up. Has been the kind of what we both agreed on for a while, and then what happens after, I'm not sure. I think that's too far ahead, but yeah, I think there's a decent chance that this is just a dead cat and we do a much lower wave C, but gonna have to see what happens there. But specifically the trades, also the death cross, I saw this video by I think Benjamin Cohen. It's very similar to what you presented. It's but yeah, I mean I wanted to talk about it too, but like death cross is just, it's a lagging indicator, right? It's like basically saying like a couple months before the death cross happened, like there was a significant drop, because that's literally what it's trying to count is the very quickly moving average is dropped like much quicker than the slower moving average, which just means it's a lagging indicator. So that's why people say, the death cross is happening, that leads to the that means we're in a bear market. No, that just means like there was a very significant drop like a couple months before the death cross happened. So that's why, typically if you look at like you presented, usually at the death cross is like people that are the most retail that don't really understand what the death cross is, they panic, and usually that is at least the short-term bottom, as you presented here when Bitcoin first had the death cross around 300 to 400, and then here when it had the death cross from in end of 2019, leading up to a short-term bottom before a much bigger drop. But essentially, like, if you're trying to trade a death cross, even just looking at the previous couple examples, you can't trade it in like a very short term and say, okay, death cross, we're gonna drop right after. That's quite the opposite is usually what happens. So so understand that death cross is a lagging indicator, and it does not predict what's going to come, and if anything, it shows that the retail has mostly been shaken out. So at least the short-term relief bounce is more likely, which leads into the two scenarios that we presented. Either we're in a sideways just kind of range between 31 to like 41k, or we are in this upwards parallel channel that you drew. I think both are possible. I like that you have the kind of stop loss there, key level to watch around 40k, 39k, that decides, okay, if we get rejected from there, then we're still sideways. If we break up from it, then clearly, like, at least we're in this short-term parallel channel going up. Then there's 39 to 40k range is very key to watch. I'm also watching that. Whether we get rejected from there, then I'll short, or if we break out, then I'll probably long. Just different trades setups, but I think the scenarios I agree with, that's a key level of pivot that we need to watch. And then a bit short term, going to the 4-hour, 1-hour charts, right? So, and the three trades that you presented, like you said, these are ideal scenarios, right? I'm really glad that you took this trade at the long at 32, and you were able to make a profit. I just say be careful taking these three trades here. It's quite ideal, but usually, like you said earlier, it's like usually the most ideal case don't happen because the whales tend to like know what your ideal case is and then push you just beyond that. So something, if I were a whale and if I were to trade this, I look at, okay, people are looking to kind of they have long at 32 and they're looking to take profit at 37 and then short at 37, then I would likely push them to just above 40 just to hit their stop loss. Then I'll kind of bring the market back down. That's the kind of...
So that's the best part there.
Yeah.
If we touch 39,000, that means that it's not leading anymore. So I better be out of that short.
I'd say that's risky. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. You have your trade out of. If I were to take a short there, I'd probably short at 39 and stop loss at like 42, just to be very safe. And if it doesn't hit 39, I don't enter. because that's just speaking from a little bit of experience. Like I've gotten shaken out of a lot of these brain trades the same way. It's like you'll see a wick, and like, oh, you're not sure when it hits 39 about your 37k short. Is it like, is this should I stop loss here, or is this an actual breakout, or if it's just a stop hunt, right? There are a lot of stop hunts in Bitcoin, so just something to just something to comment on. So that's why I say like these kind of trades are very advanced. If I were to take it, I would take it at 39. But I think overall we have it's the same kind of analysis, same rationale to take this trade that I have with you. And also down here, right? Longing again at around 32. Again, like for my kind of risk tolerance sake, if I were to long, it better hit like at least 31, and then I can for sure know I'll set like a stop loss way below these lows, even the lowest wicks, right, at 28.7. I'll probably set it at like 28.5. And if it doesn't hit the most ideal trade, then I don't enter, just because it's like when it's sideways, it chops too much. But that's why, like, you know, I haven't been able to do many of these trades. So just different strategies on the overall same kind of outlook. But yeah, I mean, overall, like super analysis, I agree with most of it. I think it's very, very useful and quite unbiased. That we're just trying to you know, play the market and make money from it. Okay. What about ETH? Let's talk about ETH.
So again, in events content, guys. So in the last week's call, I've introduced that ETH is in impulse already, which was apparently completely wrong, because we've entered 2000, basically 2300 range. Because if it was already an impulse, we should not have gone above the golden pocket there. Therefore, what I'm left with is that we had a triangle in B wave and C wave coming down. I see two scenarios on ETH. One is saying we're gonna go up, and the other one is saying we're gonna go down. Well, that's usually what we have always, but important part is the invalidation zones. So ETH on daily, case number one is that we are in impulse only wave one, and we will know that this is the case for sure, and we're probably gonna travel to $1,100 per ETH if we touch 1800 again, or if we touch the red line 2640, then we will be in another case, which is this one, which is kind of sad and good as well, because that scenario says that it has bottomed out, because I clearly see 5 waves coming down, which can be either full wave C or only wave 1, and in wave C you always have 5 waves, guys, always 5 waves. Based on judging from Bitcoin, I believe that it has not bottomed, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was only first wave instead of full C wave. And we will know that this is not the case if we take out 2640, but there might be a good chance that ETH has bottomed out, and good part is that it's gonna go up, and bad part is that I didn't buy there. So yeah, and the last chart for ETH at 1 hour is that I see ETH is in leading diagonal as well, currently entering last wave of the 5th wave, and I'm estimating to reach $2,400 per ETH before tracing back to 2,000 as first support, and max pain would be at 1,805, basically the low of second wave.
Yeah.
Once fifth wave tops out, I will use Fibonacci retracement to know potential levels to watch on Ethereum. And that's it for me, guys, today. Thank you very much for listening and coming. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we be thanks and take away.
Thanks, Wonka. I think ETH there. I'm not so sure either. I think longer term, I'm favoring the not so much dollar value down, but at least against Bitcoin going down. That's been my analysis for a while, but yeah, ETH is like quite undecided. Sometimes it's in the past couple of weeks, right? It's shown like, okay, it's very weak against Bitcoin, but then all of a sudden it's like much stronger this week against Bitcoin. So short term, very choppy. Have to wait for key levels, but I do think long term, not long term, I guess mid term, when the Bitcoin kind of either dead cat or actual recovery happens above 40k towards 46 to 50k range, I don't think ETH will move as quickly. But we'll see. Yeah, I'll jump into ETH a bit later as well, just to give my own perspective. But Luke, are you still there? Let's talk about Bitcoin dominance very quickly. I know this is
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry,
and I'm just bringing up.
Okay,
the
so
charts. I have the weekly. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So on the weekly, this week I noticed that there's a new support within the current price action, and Bitcoin dominance has used this horizontal support resistance on 4 separate occasions, and so yeah, it's just a new support in the middle of the range that it's currently ranging in.
Yeah.
And I suspect this support to hold. And ultimately, I foresee Bitcoin dominance going in 2 paths. I've covered this before, but I ultimately expect Bitcoin dominance to take the blue path, breaking out of the weekly trend resistance, coming back down, testing it for support, and then going back up to the 50% range before possibly reversing or continuing its trend.
Yeah.
And then the other scenario I have talked about a little bit is kind of it would see Bitcoin dominance being more bearish and a possible alt season, I guess you could say. It still depend on the sentiment of the market, of course, but so yeah, if we break this new weekly support that I just drew, and we continue to get smothered down by the weekly resistance, we could continue to break to the monthly. I think that's the weekly close, actually. The weekly close, and possibly below that, and that might spur on an alt season. And I might capitalize on this if we break below the weekly support here, the one that it's currently testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I might long a few alts, but I'm going to be pretty reserved in this range because I think the market is pretty unpredictable. So moving on to the daily,
mm-hmm.
We see the test in a bit better detail. After the rejection from the weekly trend resistance, Bitcoin dominance has steadily trended down to just above the weekly support. And it printed a couple indecisive candles, but it now looks like it may test it may further test the support. I do think this weekly support will be hard to break, but it does look like we're going to be making lower lows in the short term, I think. So, anyways. I anticipate Bitcoin dominance to ultimately grow over the next few weeks, but I don't know if we're going to be making lower lows in the short term or continuing the path. So I'm just playing it real reserved, especially with the market how it is right now. And I'm mainly in Bitcoin right now because I am more bullish than not. But I may try to explore the NFT hype with a small percentage of my portfolio here soon.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's it for Bitcoin dominance for me.
I think I also mostly agree there. So just to point out some levels out on the chart in terms of numbers. So the kind of inter-range support / resistance level there, 45.6% range. And if we bounce from there, we could probably get above the diagonal trend line there. So it's definitely showing like more likely to go up than down if we bounce from 45.6%, which means if we bounce there, it's likely that Bitcoin will outperform altcoins, so better to be in Bitcoin. If we break down from there, we probably will move to test around 40% in Bitcoin dominance. This means for a period of a week or two, altcoins will see some gains against Bitcoin. So something to capitalize on there, whether we bounce from 45.6% or we break below it, then you can act accordingly, whether you're mostly in Bitcoin or taking some short-term altcoin positions. Longer term, I also, it's this orange diagonal trend line there. If we get above there, I think it's quite clear that reverse alt season or Bitcoin dominance going up is in play. But until then, we are mostly ranging. For an alt season to actually start in a major way, not just like a couple weeks, but multi-months, I would say we need to make at least a lower low below the 41%. Ideally, we break even below the 40%. Then, major alt season. Otherwise, very just kind of sideways choppy. Some weeks Bitcoin will outperform, some weeks altcoins will outperform, but overall, if you try to play the, swapping in and out of Bitcoin and altcoins, there's not a clear pattern to catch. So, so short term, waiting for 45.6% reaction, what happens there for the next couple weeks, potential play. But otherwise, longer term plays, whether we are more bullish on altcoins outperforming Bitcoin or Bitcoin, taking up more of the market share, depends on the diagonal trend line in orange and the, I would say 40% level at the bottom there. So while we're still within this range, I'm not too comfortable taking like a long-term bet with conviction for multi-months. I think we're looking at pretty much the same levels, just with a little bit more like a couple percent of difference there. I think it's a good approach. Appreciate the analysis, Luke. With that said, I'll look at, let's do some questions, and maybe if there are any questions on the charts that's unclear, we'll start there. Otherwise, I think we covered Bitcoin for myself. I'll also look at ETH versus BTC after the first round of questions. So checking on my phone for the Discord questions. I see people are already memeing the BTC death cross. Yeah, that's a very retail focused thing that just, it's a death cross, but it never leads to a full on dump, right? Because literally everyone and their mother knows that there's a death cross. So you got to think like, okay, is this actually just news trying to grab your eyes, or is this actually useful information? So, and it's clearly not useful information. Background music is a bit loud. Oh shit. Okay, I'll turn it down a bit. Did not know. I tried to turn it down already quite a bit. Oh, it's a rhythm bot. Okay, cool. Got it. ETH don't going down. Honestly, ETH value against dollar is very uncertain right now. It quite depends. And it's also very short term. So, I think the better chart to look at is ETH versus Bitcoin right now. But I'll also look at the questions on YouTube just very quickly before I look at the charts. Have we covered anchor savings with fixed 20% APY for UST pools? Yeah, so I don't think that's 20% now. It's probably like 17 to 16%. But Anchor is a good stablecoin pool, yes. Okay, so not much questions. Let's look at TradingView here. I'll bring up some analysis for ETH as well as Bitcoin dominance, which will be overall like a really good outlook for how most other altcoins are doing. So first off, still watching the same range, right? I like to give like consistent analysis. So from like 31K to 42K, you can take shorter term trades between the range, right? If I were so if you are to short from like 37 to 39, then yeah, you can take on, let's say just hypothetically, right? You would have had two, maybe like this trade would have lost, but you would have had two losing trades where your stop loss was hit, but you got eaten up by the stop hunt, but one of them would have been profitable. So that's why I would prefer to only take the kind of trades at least 40K for a short, and then so I don't get stop hunted, right? And if it doesn't hit, I just don't take it. Same thing for down here, right? If you were to long from like 32K range, this probably would have been fine, but these two wicks, right, would have really hurt you. Same thing as like this one here and this one here. I think most people would have been shaken out there. So just looking at how nasty these wicks are, I wouldn't really trade set my entries at these candle bodies. I would only target at least the wicks. So 31.5 is probably a level I would potentially scalp long. So if I were trading this range, I would like short at 40K, stop loss 42, long 31.5, stop loss like way below, so probably like 28.5. Just how I would take it. But again, it's the same kind of trades, like Wonka said, is trading within the range. But just know that there's very nasty swings. So look at like, if you had taken your trades at what levels, then would you have been shaken out before? If that's the case, maybe be a bit more conservative is what I would say. But longer term, still watching, like I said, the same thing, 31K, breakdown below 31K in a closing format, right? In a closing basis. So you see there are wicks, but we need a clear like candle close. If you understand, like these black and white candles to be clearly closing through it, that is an actual breakout. If it's just a swing with these wicks, that doesn't count. Same thing above, looking at around 41K, right? Any candle closes above 41K, I would say that's a medium to longer term trend developing. Until then, still sideways in my eyes. Then ETH USD, I would say very difficult to trade right now. Still the around 2000 range in 1950, right? We've been watching this for a very long time. Still good for a short-term scalp long, but I didn't take this one here because I think I'm trading against the longer-term trend right now, at least when it comes to ETH versus Bitcoin. Because yes, if Bitcoin continues to stay relatively stable or up, ETH versus dollar value will likely go up. But if ETH is underperforming Bitcoin, then that's not a trade you want to take, right? Because ETH is more risky than Bitcoin. So that's why I'm still not touching ETH, because I saw this double top here with the lower high. So unless ETH actually breaks above this previous high there, I make a higher high, I'm not willing to take a ETH long. Even if I'm overall bullish on the markets in general, I would much rather long Bitcoin than long ETH. So what I'm expecting on ETH versus Bitcoin is still somewhere we move towards here, but we get rejected and print a third lower high. So that will clearly develop a sort of downtrend, ETH versus Bitcoin, and for ETH versus Bitcoin to move towards these lower ranges. yeah, so that's what I'm expecting, and that's why I made like 2-3 videos now covering why I've converted most of my ETH into Bitcoin. And that's a multi-month, 1 to 3 month kind of play. So I'm not too phased by this past week's move. I don't think this will last much longer. Yeah, so not looking at ETH versus USD chart too much. Yeah, just for those reasons of Bitcoin is a better bet if you are bullish. And if you're bearish, I mean, it still depends on Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin just breaks down below 31K, then ETH is not going to just magically like outperform and go up in dollar value. That's not going to happen. So it's going to follow. And lastly, let's look at Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, same thing. Still have the same charts. These horizontal levels are next to watch. Last week we had this neckline resistance there being broken, and extending that. You see we are now coming back down to retest it. That's also Luke covered this a little bit. It's the this consolidation range there. I would say that candle. So if this is key to watch, right? So if we break down below this this 44.5 to 45.5 range, if we do something like this means there's a short-term out season happening for the next week, 1 to 3 weeks. However, if we just do something like this and see we are bouncing from it, then we should head towards much higher levels in Bitcoin dominance, which means for the next week to 1 to 3 weeks, altcoins are going to suffer much more against Bitcoin. Not necessarily dropping in dollar value, but you're much better off being in Bitcoin because if this kind of upwards move happens in Bitcoin dominance, it means even if Bitcoin goes up, altcoins will go up less, and if Bitcoin goes down, altcoins will go down more. So in either scenario, you're better off holding Bitcoin. But yeah, it's key to watch what happens in this range, the reaction here. If you get a bounce, just very short term, if we see even a small bounce, then much more likely to move much higher. If we break below, very likely for us to move much lower. Then in this case, it's a reverse. So it's the out season actually happening for a couple weeks. Yeah, so watching that very closely. I'm just looking at sentiment and history. I'm more inclined for this move to happen, for us to get a bounce. Looking at both this technical pattern of this bottom, the neckline retest, right? As you guys know, I most retests that I've covered, they typically bounce. So so I'm expecting the reverse of alt season and alts to continue to suffer against Bitcoin. That's why I'm still only holding just Bitcoin, minus some very long-term investments. But still, we have to wait for the confirmation here. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. Let's look at some questions both on the Discord and YouTube side. Yeah, I see YouTube asked about Anchor UST, so I'll do a quick Google to show you guys the rates there. So Anchor UST is a stablecoin protocol that aims to get fixed income annualized for stablecoins built on Terra. So right now this rate is at I think it's earn APY, yeah, 19.47%. So that's about the base rate, and the whole protocol is trying to make this rate very stable. So for the past month, okay, you can't really see, but for as long as I've been tracking this, it only goes between like 17 lowest to about 22%. So it is quite stable. And it has been on for 2-3 months now that have tracked it. So very good protocol. You can also invest in this through Yarn, and that fluctuates a bit. But yeah, this is probably the most stable rate you can get in DeFi right now for stable coins. Okay, looking at Discord messages, events chat. If anyone has any questions, please drop them in the events chat and let's get them answered. If not, yeah, just some, I guess I'll give some BaconDAO updates. So we're planning our launch, which is going to be very soon. I know we've said very soon over time, but we give market analysis over week, right? And I think most of us can agree that it has been a very good decision that we delayed because most altcoins have dumped, right, over the time that we chose not to launch. But markets are looking better and better as we go, right? So I think it is going to come back quite soon. Can you use MetaMask to connect to Anchor? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, you have to be on Terra Station, which is a I think a Cosmos based wallet. So yeah, it's not ETH based. So like I said, if you want to use put your stablecoin in this pool and earn like around 20%, you can also do it through Yarn. They have a bridge there, and with the UST on the ETH blockchain, you will get a bit more fluctuating rates. Sometimes it's like 15%, sometimes it'll be 30, but on average you're looking at like around 20. Yeah. Moving back to the BaconDAO updates, so we are our core targets. I don't know if many of you are in the DAO meta chat. It's a recent chat that we started, but so far since we've launched, we've announced the initiative and what we're building. The most growth and the most support we've gotten from actually all of our DAO members and people that actually follow us have been the positive response for our content, right? The daily digest, potentially bringing back the insider report with weekly picks, entry, stop loss levels. The educational calls have been going really well. People found that they're actually super helpful, very in depth, right? And you get your questions answered. And the voting parts, right? People voting on kind of TikTok videos we cover, starting up new channels in the Discord to cover new types of trending narratives, and what we cover in the educational calls. Tying that DAO aspect into the content we make has been one of the models that within our initial announcement of the white paper and the vision. But this has been the part that we see has grown the most and has the most demand. So we are going to focus on that a lot more. And right now, a lot of talks internally between the team members and the contributors to really hammer home the making BaconDAO the very community-driven, governed media DAO experiment where any Bacon holders, and as long as you're a member, you can vote on what type of content you want to see, whether it's daily digest, insider reports, educational calls, new channels being made to discuss whichever blockchain's gems. We want to really harness our community knowledge and serve our community the best, and in turn, hopefully the Bacon price and the contributors and the team members can be compensated accordingly with our Bacon investments, as well as maybe some crowdfunding campaigns to fund specific courses that you would like to see. So yeah, we want to continue serving our audience the best, and we think with the DAO model, it becomes really right now, that we do take opinions, but it is the core team and the contributors making the decisions and picking the best ideas, what we think are the best, but we want to outsource that to the entire DAO quite soon. So stay tuned for that. We're just finishing up the model there to make it financially viable and also community driven, community governed as much as possible, if I were to sum it up. But a lot of progress has been made on that front. Yeah, that's about it for this week. I'm just looking at events chat, events comments. If anyone has any ideas, comments, questions, just drop them in any of the channels. Mostly it's events chat, but also I'll look at general for a bit. Leroy Brown asked bull trap. I'll briefly explain bull trap. And YouTube Steph asks, ETH might as well lead the bull run on Q4. Yes, I do think ETH will make a much stronger comeback, but if we're talking about Q4, right now it's July, beginning of July, so Q4 is October, November, December, right? So that's still 2 months away. No, 3 months away, right? So people look at, like, when I say I've converted my ETH for the medium next couple months into Bitcoin, people say, oh yeah, why? Like, later on this year, ETH could come back much stronger. I totally agree. That's why, like, but the time frame is completely different, right? I'm looking at if the markets are to recover, Bitcoin will recover first and ETH will lag behind. People recognize that, but like, you know, if I were making this video in October and Bitcoin has already recovered and is now consolidating, I would not make the same call. I would say quite the opposite. I would be moving my Bitcoin when it's actually consolidating into ETH and other altcoins. But the timing is, we're not there yet, right? So yeah, I think ETH will come back much stronger, but I don't think it's happening just yet. Just looking at the money flow of how crypto is, people are still in the fearful stage. So Bitcoin is likely to recover first, while ETH lags behind a bit. But in terms of percentage amount, yes, ETH has much more potential. And Leroy Brown asked, what is a bull trap like? Right, just let me give a kind of typical example with Bitcoin chart. We'll take that as the last question for today. So, like I said, currently we have the sideways range from 31 to 41K, right? That's the range I've been watching. Now, bull trap typically just traps the impatient bulls, right? So the impatient people that think markets will go up. So if you are really impatient for this, if we just get to maybe if you are too zoomed in, for example, and we only get to like 37, maybe like 36K, and we just only get above this high, right? Price does this and goes down here, and you say, okay, I'm long here, and then it moves back up to test the actual range highs that we have had trouble to break above, right, at around the 41K range. You look at this and you're like, oh yeah, we're for sure gonna break this, right? But then it just like quickly fakes out and drops back down. Now you are trapped, right? That doesn't mean that your bullish, outlook is wrong. Quite the contrary, right? We could come back down, do some sideways again, but then eventually break out. But the bull trap leaves the impatient traders trapped in the sense that you entered into the long too early, and then market reverts just not much below your initial entry, but then now you're uncertain, okay, was I actually wrong? And then you might get shaken out and take a small loss here, but then eventually the actual breakout happens and you end up needing to FOMO back in, because let's say you enter in here and then you get shaken out somewhere down here. Now you're feeling very salty, right? Now in your mind you're thinking like, okay, the Bitcoin probably won't break out because you've given up on your initial long, right? So if you long at 37 and then it kind of shakes you out at 34, then if we actually make the breakout above 41 and does the retest, you are much less likely to to follow through to actually long this breakout, even though this is much more bullish and actually confirms the breakout. Because you gave up on your initial trade, you are much less likely to enter in this trade in the right time. Instead, you're much likely to FOMO back in later. So this is the process that an impatient trader usually takes. Is their analysis on their outlook long term might be right, whether it's fundamentals or not. They look at, okay, I think Bitcoin will go up, but then they first enter in too early, they get shaken out, and now they're salty. And then once the breakout actually happens, they say, oh no, I already took a loss, I'm now bearish. And they flip their bias, not because the market has changed, but because they had a bad experience. And now their psychology is kind of messed up. So then they don't take this trade, but then much higher up here, they take this trade. So they end up taking a small loss here, missing out on all of this, and then taking a worse trade up here. So this is why it's much more important, instead of having looking at like, oh yeah, this trade is going to be for sure and whatnot. It's the patient trader usually makes more money. Even though you weren't able to catch this period of between 37k to 41k, even though you missed out on this margin, right? You don't get shaken out here, and you have a much higher conviction trade when the breakout actually happens. Because the person that tends to take these kind of early uncertain bets are the ones that will get shaken out and miss these kind of confirmed bets and end up FOMOing back in later. So yeah, that's what I have to say with bull traps is be patient. Wait for the actual breakout to happen. At least that's how I would take it. Not talking about anyone else specifically, because everyone else have different strategies. But if I were to trade this, and this is how I'm looking at it right now, if I were to long, I would wait for a break above 41, which clearly confirms the at least short-term uptrend, long the retest. Until this happens, anything within the range, I trade the scalps, which is also very difficult to catch. That's why I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's bit of market psychology for you. Let's jump back to the Discord questions if there are any. If not, let's end the call here. It's about an hour and a half now. Cool. All right. I see Wonka says thanks guys. Yeah, thanks guys. I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for this week. Market is looking decently healthy recently. I think 31k, I posted on this on Twitter. I think 31k is most likely the bottom, if I were to call it bottom. That doesn't mean just go ahead and long it, right? It's you still have to respect the range. But yeah, make your own analysis. Understand that we have all different financial goals. Some people are better short-term traders. Some people are longer-term investors, right? But all in all, try to conserve your capital in this sideways, crabby market, right? It's very difficult to trade these. So I think we can all agree to that. So in these sideways markets, conserving your capital is the gains that you could make in the actual move that happens. Whether that's up or down, we talk about this every week. If you have conserved your capital, you can act on the move when it actually happens. So stay safe out there. I think this could have been the best advice that I could have given anyone, and I have been talking about this for the past 2 months now, 1 month and a half. So yeah, stay safe, conserve your capital, and thanks again for joining the call. Appreciate you guys being here on the Sunday calls. Maybe we'll start a weekly poll maybe for this week for some improvement proposals for next week's call, just within the Discord DAO Votes channel. I think that could be a good idea. Whether it's length, what kind of topics we cover, small changes just to move the DAO thing forward, and then once the token is live, we'll do kind of more on-chain voting to decide on that. And the outro fails. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. I'll cut the stream here, and stay safe. See you guys next week. Bye bye.